Nick. He was on his way home from Bourbon Books, a second-hand bookshop he apparently patronizes. And... falsch.
Objection!
If I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson. What is it, Sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know? This is a receipt that we found in Mr. Natsume's room. It was issued on the day of the incident, and it details the purchase of 3 second-hand books. And you found that in the accused room, did you? Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it. Go on. This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books. Your Books? Y-O-R-E, I presume. Yes, my lord. So Miss Natsume did indeed purchase a number of books at a second-hand bookshop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books. What? Inspector, do you know of this other bookshop? Yes, sir. Your Books is another second-hand bookshop, not far from Bourbon Books. It's just that, well, it's such a small place, I didn't think the accused would have known about it.
Objection!
But in fact, that is the bookshop which the defendant visited on the day in question. And this receipt proves it.
Objection!
Yes, for what difference it makes. Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
Objection!
I disagree. I mean, after all, I have the street map here, if that might be of help. Oh, yes, thank you. Have a look at this, please. The defendant had been returning from Bourbon Books. Then yes, he would almost certainly have passed the place where Miss Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact that he was actually at another bookshop, Your Books, it may very well turn out that he wouldn't have passed that location at all. Could that be true? My, it rather depends on where this other bookshop is, but I do declare it may be a possibility. Is that right, Mr. Lawyer, sir? What you just said? Absolutely, it absolutely could be right. Inspector Gregson, where's this Your Bookshop, books establishment? Well, obviously we looked into that. It turns out that Your Books is just here on the next corner of Meerschaum Street going east. Könnte da beide... Da wird's... Das kommt sich dann ja gleich, welchen Weg er genommen hat. Das kommt sich dann ja gleich. Das beweist leider nicht so viel. The local maps information has been updated in the court record. And there you have it, as you can clearly see now. Oh. My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown, the way he regales us with such witticism. To your future career in the circus. You put that glass down, or I put it down for you. I didn't think I needed to spell it out, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from Your Books instead of Bourbon Books, there's no doubt he still would have passed the place where the victim was stabbed. Ich glaube, von der Entfernung her wird's gar nicht so viel Unterschied machen, egal wie er rumgeht. Yes, thank you, Inspector. Allow me to reiterate for my learned, somewhat slow, Nipponese friend. Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis. Ah! Uh-oh. As I suspected, you can't fool me, and I don't suggest you try. What did I say, I've had enough of this now. Beg your pardon. terribly sorry, but would you mind repeating that? Mr. Naruhodo, we mustn't give up. What do you mean? If the prosecution's assertion is correct, the members of the jury may very well decide that Mr. Natsume is guilty. Ah, she's absolutely right. We must consider the assertion just put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully. They claim Soseki-san must have passed the location of the incident on his way home from your books, but... where's an objection? The assertion just made by the prosecution is fundamentally flawed. Explain yourself, counsel. Yes, my lord. You can see what I mean on this map. When returning from your books to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume could have followed the route suggested by the prosecution. However, that isn't the only conceivable route to take between the two places. Ja, was ich gesagt habe, ne? If the defendant used these streets, look what happened. He arrives back at his lodgings without passing the location where the victim was attacked.
Objection!
Talking back to a clown is a fool's errand, of course. However, I feel compelled to point out that that route is what is commonly referred to as the long way round. Ah! On a cold winter's night, why would any man choose to take a longer route home? Well, the answer is extremely simple. He wouldn't. In other words, the accused took the obvious route back to his lodgings, and is the obvious perpetrator of this crime.
Objection!
But... Aha, yes, I've got it. Obviously, we must ask the man himself. Ask Mr. Natsume which route he took home. I have already informed the court of the accused's response to such questioning. He claims he has no recollection. Das ist nicht gut, dass keine Erinnerung hat. That's right. As I said, the bloke seems to spend his time outside, wandering aimlessly from A to B. That day was no exception. He says he doesn't remember where he was or which route he took home. I don't believe this! I thank you, my learned friend, and suggest that we do not waste any more of the court's time by wandering aimlessly around the subject. Pray, what say you insightful jurors? Oh no. But even if that is the case, the defense still... Oh. Mr. Fairplay? I agree with Lord Van Zieks. Wholeheartedly and in every way. What? I don't believe it. Does this mean... We members of the jury are completely convinced now. Oh no. Very well. In that case, I hereby call upon all members of the jury to present your findings to the court.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
It would appear the jury's leaning is unanimous. To the insightful members of the jury, I applaud your brave resolve. You serve Queen and country admirably. Mr. Naruhodo. Komm schon, die Summation Examination. No, not yet. This isn't over yet. I still have one last chance to sway the opinion. Was stand da? Wird zu schnell weggedrückt. I still have one last chance to sway the opinion of the jury, okay. I have to tip the balance of those scales the other way. I have to turn this around. Somehow. Those are the eyes of Quarry, not yet willing to give up and die. So I presume you intend to wield your rights again in this trial. Rights of the defense written into antiquated British law that should have been buried long ago. Call it antiquated if you will, but it's the defense's prerogative to carry out a summation examination if it so chooses. Very well, Counsel. In accordance with the letter of the law, we shall proceed with the summation examination. Are the members of the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Of course we are ready. I'm all too familiar with that Nipponese whippersnapper and his uncle's refusal to throw in his alley. Very well then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions. For pity's sake, that little Nipponese oddity already admitted it himself, didn't he? If he said that the woman in green collapsed before his eyes, why it can only have been the victim? The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop, not in winter. So the poor woman was attacked from behind, was she? How dreadful. I really don't care. Can't we just wrap this up now? I've got work to be doing. Your books, yes. Nice shop that, but Burn books? No. Not worth a visit. Okay. With only one minor exception, the reasons for finding the defendant guilty are all too clear. When the stabbing occurred, the only two people at the scene were the victims and the accused. And the accused himself has admitted to seeing the victim in a green overcoat sink to the ground before his eyes. Furthermore, we have heard from the inspector that the defendant then fled the scene. I must say, I would have ample grounds to convict this man already. Oh dear, even the judge appears convinced of Mr. Natsume's guilt now. Why did he have to run away like that? And how are we supposed to believe in some phantom attacker that nobody could see? This is impossible. How can I possibly make a case for the defense? Mr. Naruhodo, this is no time for grumbling. If we want to force the trial to continue... Yes, I know. I have to turn the tide. I must make the jurors change their minds. Well, 4 of them at least. Exactly. We have no choice but to forge forward. You have the floor, Counsel. Begin your summation examination. Yes, my lord. I just need to keep this trial going somehow, whatever it takes. Come on, Ryunosuke, you can do it. Come on. Jury examination. The defense's rebuttal. For pity's sake, that little Nipponese oddity already admitted it himself, didn't he?
Hold it!
Excuse me, but aren't you... Yes, that's right. I was in the witness stand myself just 2 days ago. Yes, I had a feeling I knew your face, or the sight of it anyway. If I remember correctly, you're a banker, aren't you? That's right. After the gold rush down under, I came back to London to work. And it was all going swimmingly until you started fossicking around. Bruce Fairplay was a man of repute. Sorry? Don't think I've forgotten how you treated me the other day. You had me and that young hatter pegged as criminals. Oh well, you know, water under the bridge. Now there's all sorts of rumors buzzing around, and the police have been badgering me non-stop. If I could turn back the clock. Well, anyway, I don't know about the hatter, but at least I'm in the clear now. And free to make up my own mind about who's guilty and who isn't. Thank goodness. Alright, maybe I might struggle to change this man's mind, given our awkward history. Oh dear, I wonder what becomes of Mr. First now. If he said that the woman in green collapsed before his eyes, why it can only have been the victim?
Hold it!
You're right that at the time of the incident, the defendant admits to having seen someone wearing a green overcoat walking ahead of him. Well, quiet, that's precisely my point. Clearly that someone wearing green was the victim. And clearly that funny little Nipponese man with a disturbing moustache is the culprit. But let us not forget, madam, the defendant vehemently denies attacking the woman. Why, of course he does. If he admits to stabbing her, his life is over. The man is obviously a liver-faced coward, honestly, claiming the woman simply collapsed before his eyes. But if that's the lie as you're suggesting, do you not think you would have concocted something more credible? Oh, I really couldn't say. After all, you are foreign. Who's to say what goes through your funny little minds? I could tell you what's going through my funny little mind right now, but you wouldn't like it. I do declare the man has already made the admission. He himself has stated that there was nobody else around. Surely the conclusion is obvious. No one else could possibly have committed this awful crime. If no one else could have done it, the accused must be the man. Really, it couldn't be more simple. Your argument is compelling in its simplicity, I must admit. Oh my, you are too kind, my lord. That went well. For her. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop, not in winter.
Hold it!
But you can't deny that there are other routes Mr. Natsume could have taken back from your books. Oh yes, like you drew on the map, you mean? What was it? Calabash Road or something? Precisely. But it seems to me that what counts is whether the little Japanese fellow actually went that way or not. Well, yes, that's true. And at the moment, there's no proof that shows he did, is there? Well, yes, that's true as well. And as I understand it, the accused himself doesn't remember which way he went, does he? Well, yes, that's annoyingly true. Winter nights are dark and cold, so the way I see it, you'd want to get home as quickly as possible. Well, yes. Why is all this true? So really, the only thing that makes sense is that you went home along Briar Road. Ah! I'm supposed to be convincing here. I have given it a lot of thought, you know. I didn't just make up my mind on a whim that he did it. I mean, if there was some logical reason why he might have gone the Calabash Road way, it would be different. I'd be happy to reconsider my position in that case. Honest, I would. A reason why Soseki-san might have taken the longer way home. Yes, a good reason. I don't imagine you'll be able to sway this young man's opinion without one. Okay. So the poor woman was attacked from behind, was she? How dreadful.
Hold it!
Whatever is the matter, young man? You're the wife of Mr. Garrett, aren't you? The landlord who rents Mr. Natsume his room. The master's wife? Where do you get your ideas, sir? I'm the maid. The maid, you understand? She's keeping up that charade. This is going to be awkward. Why didn't you mention this yesterday? That you'd been selected for the jury in this trial, I mean. Well, I was told not to mention it to anyone until the day of the trial, you see? It was in the letter I received. The instructions were very clear, so I'm afraid I had no choice. I see. Anyway, Mr. Natsume, the defendant, takes lodging in your master's house, doesn't he? Yes, that's right. Although he's only been in a little over a week now. And in that time, surely you must have taken stock of his character. Does Mr. Natsume look like this kind of man who would commit a crime such as this? Oh my goodness me, yes, he's just the sort. What? Spending all his time in that dark and dingy room, sporting that unscrupulous moustache. The man never speaks, and don't get me started on those shifty eyes. All the neighbors are talking about him. I've heard them, you know? People think he must be building a bomb in there or something. Oh dear, Poor Mr. Natsume. How could people say such things about him? He's just a harmless bookworm. Nothing more. Well, you just called him a worm, so... Anyway, I'd better be careful about inviting this maid to speak. She's said enough damning things already. Okay. I really don't care. Can't we just wrap this up now? I've got work to be doing.
Hold it!
A man's life is on the line here, sir. This will take as long as it takes. Don't get clever with me now, son. My life's on the line too, and so is my family's. Ah. The likes of you wouldn't understand, but a laborer like me can't afford to take time off. If I don't work, I don't eat, and neither do the wife and kids. Oh, I see. That must be very hard. I go to the union every morning to find out what needs doing. If you're late and the work's taken, it's tough. This time of year, there's water and gas supply pipes bursting left, right and center. They are after cheap labor to get the roads dug up to fix it. It's a hard slog from dawn till dusk, it is. So, you were out digging up the roads on the day of the incident as well, were you? That's right. Kein Bauarbeiter. In fact, if I remember rightly, it was just round the corner from where it all happened. By that old bookshop it was. What? Another coincidence? That's right, Meersham Street it was. Meersham Street. On the map, Mr. Naruhodo, there are only 3 named streets. Juror number 5, I need you to add that information to your formal statement, please. What's the point in that? Can't we just get this business over with now? Please, sir, it's important. Fine, I'll do it then. Okay, dann wurde er durch Bauarbeiten daran gehindert, da lang zu gehen und ging den anderen Weg lang. Und dann, jetzt können wir das angreifen. Mit seinem Statement. The woodman wouldn't have gone around the houses on the way back from the bookshop, not in winter. Objection.
Objection!
Those two statements are clearly at odds with one another. At odds, counsel? Explain yourself. Please, don't point. It wasn't me, I swear. What? I just want to get this done and dusted. Well, juror number 3. Oh, me, sir? What do you mean? Juror number 5's words just now are extremely significant. Let's take a moment to consider the implications of what's been said on our map of the local area. On the day in question, Mr. Natsume visited this bookshop to purchase a number of second-hand books. And on the same day, we now know that there were works being carried out on Meersham Street, making it impassable, which means that the defendant's return could not have been taken him along Meersham Street and down Briar Road. Oh, yes, of course. What do you think, sir? Well, yes, you can't argue with it really, can you? We must have had a good 2 yards or more of the pavement up. Every gentleman and gentlewoman that came along had to turn back and go the other way. So, the only conclusion is this. The defendant must have taken the longer route back to his lodgings. Yes, I suppose he must have. I suppose that must be right, eh? Juror number 3, you said the following. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop. But we see now that he had no choice. Yes! My lord, Mr. Judge, sir, if I may? Yes? I don't think in all good conscience that I can say the man's guilty now. Yes, I'd like to see this trial continue so we can get to the bottom of what really happened. Ehre. What about you, sir? Who? Me? Well, alright then. If there's a hole in the prosecution's argument, it should be filled in, that's what I say. Okay, nice. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo, that was wonderful. Well, we've managed to change a couple of minds at least. It strengthened our position somewhat. Yes, and it will prompt the other members of the jury to reconsider their stance as well. They'll be asking themselves if their current leanings are really right or not. Now, if we could just identify one more clue or discrepancy that would make them stop doubting Mr. Natsume. We might be able to tip the balance completely. Yes, that's exactly what we've got to do. Van Zieks is looking to bring this trial to an early conclusion. That's what we have to prevent, by whatever means we have at our disposal. Thank you, Counsel. On with the summation examination, please. Yes, my lord. I have to say, not guilty at this point, so I can see where this trial goes. So the poor woman was attacked from behind, okay. Whether it's digging up words or digging up the truth, you've got to see it through to the end, haven't you? Your books, yes, nice shop that, but bourbon books, not worth it with it.
Hold it!
Sorry? Fold it, you say? Fold what? No, what I said was, hold it. What I wanted to ask was, do you visit your books often? I like the old books they have in there, yes. I enjoy reading them over a nice cup of old tea. That's my daily routine, you see? Same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about. And at what time did you visit your books on the day in question? Well, I was picking out books in there all afternoon, and it would have been just before 5 that I left. That's my daily routine, you see? Same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about. Just before 5, you say? Exactly when the victim was attacked. Are you sure about the time? Oh yes, no mistake there. I remember it well. I'm not about to forget that day in a hurry. Not after the dreadful time I had. What do you mean? Well, I was walking down Calabash Road when I slipped on the ice and donked my head. It's always worse after the snow stopped falling. That's when it smells slippery. Oh, und hat auch einen grünen Mantel an. Knocked myself clean out, I did. I really thought my number was up. Wait a minute, let me get this straight. This happened on Calabash Road. That's right, I live in Cornpipe, you see? Heading down Calabash Road is the quickest way for me to get back from your books. Juror number 6, I must insist that you add that information to your formal statement. It may very well be extremely significant. Sorry? Extremely sick? No, I'm quite alright now. You've changed 2 of the jurors' mind, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, just 2 more to go. Deliver the finishing blow now. It's time to turn the tables here. Wish I knew how to do a Susato takedown. I suppose words will have to suffer for now. For pretty sakes, I don't know Japanese, okay. In green. I stepped over that evening myself on Calabash Road. I knocked myself clean out, you know?
Objection!
Those 2 statements clearly show a flaw in the juror's reasoning. A flaw? What are you talking about, Counsel? Well, juror number 2. Juror number 6? My, whatever do you mean, sir? I think perhaps the old man didn't hear you. Unbelievable. It's not like I was loud or anything. There's at least one fact of which we can be sure here. The bookshop receipt found in the defendant's room clearly indicates that on the day of the attack, he had been to your books and purchased a number of second-hand titles. He then returned home on foot. But the man says he has no recollection of his return journey. That's correct. But what he does remember is seeing someone appear in front of him on the way. Someone in a green overcoat who suddenly collapsed on the pavement before his eyes. Yes, we are well aware of all this. The poor young woman who was stabbed, obviously.
Objection!
Can we really be sure of that, madam? My, whatever do you mean? I'm sure you heard juror number 6's account of what happened to him that day. That same afternoon, there was somebody else apart from the victim, who was wearing a green overcoat and who fell over on the icy streets in the neighborhood. Oh my. My goodness, you mean... That's right, I'm referring to, of course, to hard of hearing juror number 6. Are you really suggesting that the person in the green overcoat whom the defendant saw collapse in front of his eyes was a jolly old gentleman on the end of the bench here with me today? That is entirely possible, yes. After all, the old man has a somewhat similar build to the victim. Well, look at that. My goodness me. Sorry? You need a pee. And crucially, we know precisely where the old man in the green overcoat fell. On Calabash Road. Therefore, if the person who Mr. Natsume saw collapsing in front of him was in fact juror number 6, it means the defendant must have taken the long route back to his lodgings. And if that's true, then clearly the crime scene on Briar Road where the woman was stabbed was not on his way home. Oh my! Haben wir zwar auch schon established, dass nicht auf dem Weg nach Hause war, aber ja. You idiot, old man. If you hadn't been so daft as to be roaming about there, we'd have boxed this off hours ago. And really, what were you thinking, wearing such befuddling coat? What did you say to me? Is it a crime for the elderly to walk the streets these days? Is it a crime to slip over on ice? Is it a crime to keep up with the latest styles and wear a beautiful green overcoat? Is it? My lord, I do hope it won't cause any inconvenience, but... You'd like to change your leaning, I presume? I do declare that I would. I should like to call for a verdict of not guilty. Thank you. And I would too. What? Is it a crime to change your mind? Is it? Nice, wir sind back im game! Well, that summation examination has concluded with a rather large shift in opinion. Okay, hat nur noch well gesagt, ich habe ein bisschen zu schnell weggedrückt, aber okay. That summation examination has concluded with a rather large shift in opinion. The eyes, 2. The nose, 4. So the nose have it. Not guilty, they say. The eye, okay. Which means we no longer have a consensus among the members of the jury. The trial will continue.
Objection!
Could it seem churlish of me to drink from my hallowed chalice moments after raising an objection? Was heißt churlish? Ungehobelt. Okay. Only to crush it in disgust. Pray, forgive the discourtesy. Lord van Zieks. It seems I must retract my earlier remark. What do you mean? I mistakenly credited these jurors with intelligence by describing them as insightful. Yet we have just witnessed them falling for a cheap trick performed by an Eastern entertainer. Whatever do you mean?
Objection!
I haven't tricked anyone. Everything I've said is the truth. Indeed, stalwart juror number 5 was undoubtedly repairing the road as he claims. I believe you said it was a good 2 yards of the pavement which you had excavated, sir. That's right. Took me the whole day and they paid me a measly tuppence for it. Now, my learned Nipponese friend, tell me. Do you have any notion of the distance that 2 yards represent? Well, if I'm honest, I don't have a clue, no. Ja, me neither. Ich bin im metrischen System aufgewachsen, nicht in irgendwas anderem. 2 yards is a little less than 2 meters. Less than 2 meters? That's not much at all. In other words, a distance readily vaulted by anyone of moderate vigor. Would you not agree, my stalwart friend? Me? Well, I can't say you are wrong, no. What? And did you perchance erect a sign to prevent pedestrians from passing the site of your works? I wouldn't dream of it. What a waste of time. No coaches would have had the hope of passing anyway, and we just turn any gentlefolk back when they come. Kids just jump right over us all the time. The accused is no gentleman, as far as I can see. I have little doubt, however, that he could spring over a 2-yard trench in his meanderings around town. Ah! Is that true, is it? The incontrovertible truth is that the books just purchased by the accused were found at the scene. There can be no doubt that on his way back to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume walked down Briarwood. Crushed in a single sentence. And old man. Cold man? You can talk. You say that at around 5 o'clock on the day in question, you slipped and fell on Calabash Road. Pray, was there a suspicious looking Nipponese behind you at the time? Oh, I can't say as I remember. You don't remember? How about a wager, my learned friend? You say it was this old man that the accused saw, but I would lay 1,000 to 1 against you being able to prove it. Ah! Shit. Order! Order! Lord von Zieks, explain yourself. My lord, if you had such a trenchant argument up your sleeve, why in the world did you not proffer it during the summation examination? I wanted to give this young foreign student the sightseeing experience he no doubt came for. I wanted him to see for himself how the opinion of the jury is so readily swayed. But my hospitality had its limits, and they have been reached, I fear. So, my learned friend, today's sightseeing tour of London is now over. What? What are you talking about? My lord, the prosecution requests permission to call its next witnesses to the stand. Granted. Bailiff, bring forth the witnesses. Its next witnesses. Mr. Naruhodo, do you not remember? We've been told on several occasions that there were eyewitnesses to the incident. Yes, I remember, one of them being a Scotland Yard policeman, no less. I'm afraid that's likely to be the prosecution's next witness. Alright, no matter who Van Zieks brings to the stand as his witnesses, and no matter what they say, I believe in Soseki-san. I know he's innocent. And I keep believing to the very end, until this battle is over.